They have it right. This is where the houses stood, exact, to the cubit. I built them in my old age to provide for my advanced years. 'Tis a paradox, to be sure, but then my old age lingered so long, I anticipated no end to it. 'Tis going back a long way to remember the first time I walked here, but then I was ever blessed with a good memory, and none has a firmer memory than a ghost. Market Street, the first time I enjoyed this place, I was a young boy of 17, run away from Boston. I was cold, I was tired, I was hungry. I remember I carried 2 loaves of bread and ate the third. Hunger, as you know, is the best pickle. I passed by the door that belonged to Mr. Reed, my future wife's father. I must have made a ridiculous appearance.
I remember a scruffy lad. Loaves stuck 'neath each arm, a mouthful of bread, chewing. Naught of his expression spoke of fear or timidity. Ben did always stride through the world.
Yes, I took some long strides. From penniless boy to master of Franklin Court. Come, I'll show you. How the mind leaps. A thought, a word, a cherished object. At 12, I, the 15th child of my family, with but 2 years of schooling, began to learn the printer's trade in Boston. By the time I was in my 20s, I owned my own print shop here in Philadelphia, but a few streets away. I took care to be industrious and frugal. I did well enough to expand the scope of my life.
Ben, it is always good to have you home with us.
My dear Debbie. Before my first journey to England, I paid court to one Deborah Reed. Despite the separation and its many difficulties, when I returned, we ventured over all, and I took her to wife on September the 1st, 1730.
I was pleased to be wife to one so industrious as Mr. Franklin. I assisted him in his business, taking pleasure in folding and stitching pamphlets, tending shop, purchasing old linen rags for paper making, and such like tasks.
My son William lived with us, grew and prospered. Another son, Francis, was born and died. And on August the 31st, 1743, a daughter, Sarah, was born to us.
They were good years, despite our sorrow, Ben. Good years for both of us.
A house without a woman in firelight is like a body without a soul or spirit. Keep your eyes wide open before marriage, half shut afterwards. You know what that's from, of course. Poor Richard's Almanac. I love proverbs. If your head is waxed, don't walk in the sun. He who falls in love with himself will have no rivals. I can't remember the time I began to read. Bunyan, Defoe, Dr. Cotton Mather's Essays to Do Good. They all had an enormous influence on the future events of my life. And so, the years passed. The printing business proving profitable, I found time to indulge in my other interests. Ours was an age of few comforts. Our chimneys were drafty, often drew spark and wasted half of the fuel in the warmth of stoves. I devised an improvement, more economical, warmer, safer. The tinkerer's disease. I could not resist setting things straight when they were awkward or disorderly, be they stoves, cities, or states. Debbie, how much time do you spend daily on this butter churn?
I don't know exactly, Ben. A good hour, I'd expect.
Noting the similar motion of Debbie's rocking chair and the butter churn, I combined the two. Thus, a tedious task was joined to a pleasurable one, and we had enough to butter our bread on both sides. Of all my studies, none so totally engrossed my attention and my time as the miracle of electricity. I devised a means of diverting lightning from doing harm by the use of this copper-sheathed rod, which drew the fire and conducted it to the ground through this wire. It saved our new fire departments a good deal of work. And before I knew it, being absorbed with so many things, I realized that I'd been a resident in Philadelphia for 38 years without ever having built my own home. I was the postmaster. I've been married to Deborah Reed for 34 years. Our son, William, was appointed governor of New Jersey by the Crown. He was a proper gentleman with very proper English attitudes.
Dear Father, I am pleased you helped me gain this position as governor. My friends in every part of the province approve my conduct. I find you spoken of everywhere, generally in the most glowing terms. But alas, there will ever be those that try to drive a wedge between us with the hammer of rumor. This, in my opinion, should be ignored.
William was a young man of decided attitude. Sarah, my little Sally, was much like her mother.
The china Father brought in his travels is delicate and very beautiful. The rugs are marvels, each and every one. Father must build the house he speaks of, if for no reason but to show his splendid treasures.
At last, I'd begun the construction of my own home, when in 1763, I was sent abroad to London on Pennsylvania affairs. I stayed there for 10 years. And as I went about trying to reconcile the colonies to the mother country, for my dream was of reconciliation, my family and house prospered at a distance.
I love to hear from you. I am so very poor a writer. This minute, or within this hour, the post came in, and the packet arrived, and I have the pleasure of a letter from you.
A few months, I hope, will finish affairs here to my wish and bring me to retirement and repose with my little family. I hope by this time, as you are nearly settled in your new house. What room have you chosen to live in? I wish you would give me particulars about each room, who and what is in it. It would make me feel a little more at home.
For the room we call yours, there is in it your desk, a larger chest with all your writings in it, the boxes of glasses for the electricity and all your clothes, and the pictures, as I don't drive nails, lest it should not be right.
I could have wished to be present at the finishing of the kitchen, as it is a mere machine, and being new to you, I think you will scarce know how to work at the several contrivances to carry off steam, smell, and smoke, having not been fully explained to you.
Many friends and some visitors what have come by to inquire after you compliment me on the dishes I can now make. The house smells but little of cooking. What smells there is are good for the appetite.
Would that all problems might solve themselves so easily as stoves and flues. As my months in England lengthened, political problems in America became ever more complex.
The Stamp Act inspires riots in Boston, but I have so far avoided great outbursts here in New Jersey. It is my fervent hope that you agree with me No matter what the outcome, British law must be upheld.
There's wicked things said about you, Ben, that you were an instrument in this Stamp Act, and something has been said relating to raising a mob in this place against us. I was for 9 days kept in one continued hurry to store away our household goods and told by people to remove myself. I said when I was advised to remove that I was very sure you had done nothing to hurt anybody, nor given any offense to any person at all. But if anyone came to disturb me, I would show a proper resentment, and I should be very much affronted.
I honor much the spirit and courage you showed. The woman deserves a good house that is determined to defend it.
Dear Pappy, I cannot tell you how many hours I spend at the harmonica you invented for me. I play to console myself for your absence. I have lately used that time to search a good way to tell you some news. Being your daughter, the straightest line appeals to me. I have met a man, Mr. Richard Bache, and determined to marry him.
Before this reaches you, you will be informed of the addition to Sarah's friends. I doubt not that this will make you serious. It makes me so indeed. I would let you know in what matter I act, as I am obliged to be father and mother. I hope I act to your satisfaction.
I hear disturbing facts about this Mr. Bache. That he is a mere fortune hunter who wants to better his circumstances by entering into a family that will support him. If Sally marries him, they must both be entirely dependent on you for subsistence.
I have communicated to Mr. Bache that he should forbear entering into a state, namely matrimony, that must require a great addition to his expenses. I think that Sally might find it some amusement to visit her friends in London at this time.
Nevertheless, venturing over all difficulties, Richard and I were married October 29th, 1767.
It was with real pleasure that I noted the same degree of independence in Sarah as served her father so well.
Various are the conjectures of our neighbors. Some say you will come home this summer, especially now that Sally has borne you a grandson. I can't say anything, as I am in the dark, and my life of old age is one of continued suspense.
It appears now as if I should stay here another winter, for our troubles grow worse.
How I long to see you, but I would not say one word that would give you one moment's trouble.
It seems but the other day since you and I were ranked among the boys and girls. So swiftly does time fly. We have, however, great reason to be thankful. So much of our lives has passed so happily. Deborah? Debbie? It feels very strange to me to have ships and packets come in and no letters from you. But I do not complain of it, because I know the reason is my having written to you that I was coming home. We are, as you observe, blessed with a great share of health, considering our years. I indulge myself in no future prospects except one, that of returning to Philadelphia, there to spend the evening of my life with my friends and family. Debbie? Alas, Deborah died just before my return from England. I did not, however, return to an empty house. Sally, her husband, Richard, and their son, Benjamin Franklin Bache, filled the house with family and with children's laughter. The war lasted from my 69th to my 75th year. A parade of statesmen traveled through my home. Tom Paine, Mr. Madison, Mr. Jefferson, whoever. Sally was always ready with a freshly baked loaf. How good it was to get to know my daughter again. But as closely as the war brought Sally and me, so it separated William and me. He remained loyal to the king, and so languished in a Connecticut jail for his convictions.
It grieves me that we cannot agree on the matter of the colonial intransigence. The people are stubborn and bring grief to too many, the least of which are ourselves. These conflicts will be resolved one day. And I hope that cool reason will then heal the breach the revolutionary passion has caused to form between us. But till then, Father, you are attached to a cause that must needs be destroyed.
I never saw my son but once again, too late in our lives. But I took solace in Sally and her family, and in my Franklin court, but not for long. I was sent to France to represent the United States. I stayed there for 8 years until the conclusion of peace. But while I was there, the British occupied Philadelphia. My beloved Franklin court became the center for entertaining the British troops.
In September, Richard and I were forced to flee Philadelphia. We returned the next summer to find many books missing. Most of the musical instruments, save the harmonica and some portraits, gone. The house was in poor condition.
Do not mourn. We can repair it, and even better. Peace was finally signed in Paris. And since there never was a good war nor a bad peace, it pleased me. But nothing pleased me so much as my return to Franklin Court. I devoted myself to Franklin Court, to my niche. I built a print shop for my grandson, Benjamin Bache, right there. I erected 3 buildings here on Market Street. Thus, I passed my 5 last years tinkering with the things of this world, with men and with governments. Yes, exact to the cubit. If I were allowed to live my life over again, I should make no objection, only wishing to do what authors do in the second edition of their works, correct some of the errors of the first.